From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, this is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. With me today is my handsome and talented co-host, Joshua Moth Bevan.
Moth?
Yeah, I had to turn the lights off to get you to go home.
Wait, why is it dark?
Yeah.
Are we done?
Joshua backed away from the microphone because he was afraid he was going to cough.
I totally thought I was going to cough right in your face.
Right. Which would have been fine. Right. You've done worse on my face for sure.
Boy.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
watch out for your wool, because...
My wool?
Yeah, moths eat wool.
Oh, you're right. They do. My cashmere. I don't have any of that. But yeah, you're kind of mothy. Uh-huh. I'm always like flipping the porch light on and off like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Get out.
Bye.
Bye. I do sit on your curb for a while after each episode.
After I kick you out?
Just to make sure.
I lay flat on the floor and turn all the lights off, and I'm like, do you think he can fit? You have like an infrared thing, and you're like, is there movement?
Do you need me?
Body heat?
Do we need to come back? Do we need to make any changes?
Yeah.
Did I get everything right?
No, you do not do that. Stop it. So we're recording this on Veterans Day, and I want to thank everyone I know who has served.
Definitely. Because
we wouldn't be here without you. And a really interesting event this weekend. David Piper, wonderful singer-songwriter who was on Mark's record label, Trough Records, released a CD called Requiem for a Songwriter. And he dedicated the CD to Mark.
Oh.
And it was a lovely CD release party. Musicians came from all over the country to back him up. Chad Watson from Arizona on the bass. And, it was a really lovely afternoon.
Wow.
And he gave me some Purple Mums, big basket of Purple Mums, which was super sweet. So it's been like an overwhelming and emotional kind of weekend, but it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah. And then I had to turn the lights off to get Moth to go away. And I'm so close to the finish line, my beautiful tipsters. I had the phenomenal tipster Jerry reach out and say, "Oh, I'm so glad I got to the episode even a little bit late. I was beginning to worry about you." And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. It has not been as, regular as I want it to be. And I'm trying really hard, guys, to get it going. I will be done with school in the next 3 weeks, right around the week of Thanksgiving. And then I'll just be working on the podcast. And I can do both of those things with, a blindfold and my hands tied behind my back. It's just a little tough right now with school work and trying to do the podcast. And Joshua's been, I don't want to like cry because I'm very vulnerable right now, but Joshua has been so wonderful and flexible and versatile, coming over at times that are not usual for us and working around his schedule. He works, he has a family, he has shit to do, and he's just been terrific. So I wanted to say thank you.
No, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I know how lucky I am. So, I'm the one who's like, oh no, I never want to talk about a serial killer again. Guess what we're talking about?
You said that
I know
2 episodes ago.
17 episodes in a row.
Well, sure.
But before I get to that, which I will explain why it does have a purpose and a reason why I found this one even more fascinating. Okay. I could not be sitting upright if it were not for Magic Mind. I'm just telling you right now. I know I'd mentioned I'm double dipping. On Tuesdays and Thursdays when I have class after work, I take one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and I can still sleep at night when I can sleep.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I am so grateful to Magic Mind because I am just one tired human being, and I know it's going to get better. My schedule is going to get better. Things are going to be fine. But in the meantime, having a tool like Magic Mind in my toolbox is keeping me really upright, and having the ease of the subscription where you get free delivery delivered right to your house. Your subscription comes when they know you're running out. it's such a great service. And, I hope you'll consider having a subscription. The other great thing is if you change your mind and you don't like it, it's not working for you for some reason, you can cancel at any time, no questions asked.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about this company. And I would not be an ambassador if it were not for the ease and comfort of this wonderful product and what it does for me and what it means to me. So I'm really hoping you'll go to magicmind.com and in the promo code area, put TIPSIS20, TIPSIS 20. You get 20% off and free shipping. It's a fantastic product, and reviews are coming in from Tip-Sters who are saying it's, I don't want to be too dramatic, but that it's, made a huge difference in their lives. People that are, having a hard time getting through work, through life, through natural disasters, and they are, really relying on Magic Mind, and you can rely on it. That's what's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you'll go to magicmind.com and look around and see if there's something you would want. I know they're also coming out with gummies.
Oh.
So if you don't want the, elixir, you could have gummies. I'm going to try that. I guess they did like a beta test and they sold out.
Okay.
And they're going to start offering the gummies soon. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm still a fan of the elixir. But I'll be delighted if I can, gummy it up. Who doesn't like candy?
Yeah.
I do.
I can't name a single person, no.
If you could, they wouldn't be your friends.
Right.
You wouldn't want to hang out with them. So, all right. This case is a weird one. And what had happened was I saw an article about a woman named Kathy Small, who was 19 when she was murdered. I think it was 1986. She had a baby, and she was found. She was a Jane Doe for a very long time.
Oh, no.
She was found stabbed to death on a street in South Pasadena in February of 1986.
Wow.
But her case went cold because she was wearing a nightgown, no ID.
Sure.
It was almost 40 years that she was a Jane Doe. So our current Los Angeles County Sheriff, Robert Luna, had a press conference in August. And he said, William Lester Suff, S-U-F-F, name I'd never heard of. He was known by the moniker the Lake Elsinore Killer and the Riverside Prostitute Killer. He finally admitted to murdering Kathy Small because there was a small amount of his DNA found on her clothing. He admitted she enraged me because she knocked my glasses off my face, and I stabbed her in my truck and threw her in the street.
Oh, my God.
Now, let me explain how he works, okay? In 1986, and the sad thing is William Suff is still alive. Mm-hmm. He's 74 years old in San Quentin.
Okay.
William Suff had killed what they believed to be 20 women. In I think it was 1996, he was indicted for the murder of 12.
Okay.
So he had been, indicted for 12, life sentence, death row, when that was abolished in 2019. But he's still in San Quentin prison. So he's been there for, 22 years or something. Wow. Yeah. So he was caught in his 50s and now he's 74. He is a unique creature in that we really don't know how many women he killed. Never heard his name, like I said.
Right. Never
heard his name. He was a California native, mostly Riverside County, Lake Elsinore.
Okay.
I knew nothing about him. I'd never heard his name. Huh. And 12 women. It bothers me because I'm wondering if it's like it wasn't highly reported on because they were sex workers.
Oh, okay.
Right. It doesn't matter because Kathy Small was 19 years old. She had a child, she had a sister, had a mother, had tried to get her life back on track, and apparently it slipped off, off the wagon.
Sure.
But she had been clean for a while, and she was working to get her life back. She was paid, this is the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life, $50 to accompany William Suff from Pasadena to downtown Los Angeles. He said, just ride with me.
Just for a ride.
Now, back then, I don't know back then how you find someone, Craigslist or online forums or whatever, but she was paid $50 to accompany him to downtown LA. He said he had to pick up something for his boss.
86, that's before any of that, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I don't know where he found her.
On the street?
The penny saver?
Yeah. Oh.
No, I don't think so. No, she wasn't on the street. I'll tell you why. She was picked up at her home that she shared with a roommate.
Oh, okay.
A male roommate. And when she didn't come back several days later, he's the one that reported her missing, but they did not connect the woman found in the street in a nightgown with no ID to Kathy Small.
Okay.
So all those years later, 2022, actually, they questioned him for 7 hours, and his entire motto, his whole life was, I will never admit to anything. I will never confess. But they finally got it out of him. And he said, I picked her up. We were in my pickup truck. I said something that made her mad, or she said something that made me mad, and she knocked my glasses off my face, and I pulled my knife that I keep in my truck out of the side of my, seat, and I stabbed her a bunch of times and pushed her out of the truck and left her in the middle of the road.
Oh my God.
So talk about random.
And then she was in the middle of the road bleeding to death.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Now, ask me how they tied William Lester Suff to Kathy Small.
How did they tie William Lester Suff to Kathy Small? Thank
you for asking me, Joshua. In 2022, a 69-year-old man in Pasadena died of natural causes in his home. The police find some pictures of they were called to do a welfare check, find some pictures of women bound, and looks like they may have been tortured. And they thought it was the man, the homeowner, who died. And they find some articles about Kathy Small. And some other things. And the whole time they're thinking it's him.
It's him. It's this.
And they run a DNA test, and it's not him. But because they ran the DNA test, connected to William Suff.
Oh, so now it made a hit in the machine. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Don't know why all that information was in this man who died his house, whether he was, a friend of William Suff keeping his, trophies.
Okay.
But he had pictures of his own.
Oh, he did have pictures of his own.
Yes.
Okay, so he collects pictures.
Or maybe he had victims, or maybe they weren't murdered. Maybe they were just tied up.
Sure.
But he had pictures of his own and, items belonging to Kathy, as well as articles about her.
Wow.
And, the DNA didn't connect him, but connected William Suff.
Okay.
So they questioned him for 7 hours over 2 days.
Wow.
He finally breaks down and says, yeah, this is what happened.
Okay.
Now, William Suff is a fascinating motherfucker who should never have slipped through the cracks.
Okay.
He was in Texas, and he was married, and he had a 2-month-old daughter, and he beat her to death.
Oh, no.
He is sentenced to 70 years. At first, his wife was arrested also, and then she was finally cleared of any charges.
Oh, my God.
He shook the baby to death.
Sure.
Is what happened. He said, she must have fallen out of her crib. So he is age 24, indicted for the murder of his daughter in 1974. In March of 1984, he gets paroled.
10. So he served 10 years.
Yep.
And then now he's out on parole in
Yep.
1984.
From Texas.
Uh-huh.
And he comes to California. Comes back to California.
Yeah.
And he gets a job while still on parole from Texas, gets a job with Riverside County.
Okay.
With the county.
Okay. Working for the county.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Doing maintenance and stock work.
Okay.
He wins a chili cook-off.
Oh, wow.
At the LA County, like barbecue.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It gets worse. In 1986, the body of Michelle Gutierrez is found. Severe trauma to the rectum and vagina.
Oh, jeez.
December of 1986, the body of Charlotte Palmer is found. January of 1987, the body of Linda Ann Ortega. May of 1987, the body of Martha Young. January of 1989, the body of Linda Mae Ruiz. June of 1989, the body of Kimberly Lytle. There were several pubic hairs and fibers found on her body that came back to William Suff. 1989, the body of Judy Lynn Angel. December of 1989, the body of Christina Leal, found in Quail Valley. Tire tracks were at the scene. Her body was fully clothed. No serious abuse. But then there's a light bulb found in her vagina.
Oh, my God.
January of 1990. Daria Jane Ferguson is found in Lake Elsinore. Tire tracks at the scene match some of the other scenes. He's still working for LA County, okay? February of 1990.
You said Riverside County?
Uh-huh. Oh, did I say LA? Thank you. Riverside County. February of 1990, the body of Carolyn Miller is found. Pubic hairs are found on her. September of 1990, Cheryl Coker, the killer removed her right breast and cut it off and left it beside her.
Oh, my God.
Then there were shoe prints at the scene. December of 1990, Susan Sternfeld was found, strangled. January of 1991, Kathleen Leslie Miller is found in Lake Elsinore. She'd been dead for less than 24 hours. April of 1991, Sherry Pazer is found in a bowling alley parking lot, and she had a toilet plunger protruding from her vagina.
Jesus.
July of 91, the body of Sherry Ann Latham, strangled, and there are feline hairs on her.
Oh, my God.
That
was
end up coming back. Yep.
Okay.
August of 91, a man suspected to be William Suff in a gray van picked up a prostitute, and she managed to jump out and escape. There's quite a few more.
Wow.
I know. And he's really only convicted of 12, but they have 20 people listed here.
Right.
And now we know, I don't know if it's with Kathy Small, it's 21, but he has, the trial lasted 4 months. The jurors were like, this is emotionally draining. We need to wrap this up.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, here's my favorite piece of information about William Lester Suff.
Oh, good. Here we go.
Working for Riverside County, he was tasked to set up the office and put together the furniture for the Riverside Prostitute Serial Killer Task Force.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow.
He put together all the furniture and arranged the office for the task force of the detectives looking for him.
Jeez.
Ain't that interesting?
Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So how do you think he got caught?
Did somebody get away?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
In December of 1991, the body of Eleanor Cazares was found right down the street from the police station, and her right breast had been cut off.
Oh, God.
A month later, in January of 1992, William Lester Suff is pulled over for an illegal U-turn.
Oh, geez.
And taken to the police station.
Huh.
By February, they kind of figure out who he is.
Okay.
He is arraigned at the Riverside Municipal Courthouse, February of 92. March of 95, the trial begins at the Riverside Hall of Justice, and he was convicted on 12 of the 13 counts of murder that he was tried for.
Wow.
Again, the trial lasted for 4 months, and the jurors were like, this is too emotionally draining for us. So they believe at this time that there were 19 sex workers he had killed.
19 within there. And that was, excuse me, that was some of the ones that you were reading were not part of his convictions.
Yes, they believe he, definitely did this, but he would never talk about anything. He would never admit to anything. They got him on, like hair fiber,
right. Okay.
On the ones that they could.
Right.
And then there are just so many others that they think are absolutely him.
Right.
The fact that he was released on parole 10 years after murdering his daughter, after getting 70 years, I don't get that. I don't know if it was part of that like shock probation or parole that they, sometimes do.
Oh, okay.
But he was not the one that should have been, done.
Yeah,
right.
No.
So the women that were found, the reason they thought that they were all, sex workers, and they mostly were, is that they had drugs in their system. So he may have plied them with drugs.
Okay.
And then, killed them. Everyone was Caucasian except for one African American. He usually strangled them. They were between the ages of 23 and 42. He started then, stabbing faces and chests, doing odd things like the light bulb and the plunger. But most everyone is listed as being strangled. He didn't stalk them, He just found them, quickly and then murdered them. And
God.
Yeah. The fact that he will not ever admit to anything is so fascinating to me. It's like they had to come at him in 2022 and say, hey, your DNA is found on Kathy Small from 40 years ago. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
So I think it was 3 or 4 hours the first day, right, and then 3 hours the second day. It was a total of 7 hours over 2 days. And he finally was like, all right, she pissed me off. We got in a fight. I stabbed her in the stomach and threw her out of my truck in the middle of the road and took off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Super nice, huh?
Yeah, and if there are 8 more women,
at the very least,
8, yeah, they're going to have hard evidence to start pushing it this hard.
There are pubic hairs and fibers,
right,
left at some of the scenes. There was DNA on Kathy Small that they were able to preserve. Part of the problem is that it's of the time when, there may not have been the best collection,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's been a couple of books written about him. Cat and Mouse, Mind Games with a Serial Killer is one of them. There's been a couple of television shows. one book, The Riverside Killer. I mean, one called A Child's Beating. I mean, it's so fascinating that there have been TV shows that I've never seen and books about this man, never heard his name.
Right.
If I said to someone, William Lester Suff, I don't even know how many of the tipsters would know, and they're pretty,
Right.
up on the topic.
Right.
So I just was like, who is this man?
Yeah,
and still alive, which makes me angry.
Yeah.
So here is why we're talking about him. Not only because the LA County Sheriff has said, look, we want more tips. We think he has more victims in LA and as well as Riverside, maybe San Bernardino County.
Right.
But Sheriff Robert Luna of the LA County Homicide Bureau has kind of taken over and asked for help. So we're gonna see if we can help him. But here's why I became a little bit more intrigued about this case than others, and especially because he's a serial killer and I swear to never talk about them again. And then here I am once again. I have a wonderful friend, actually interviewed him I think twice on here. Detective Joe Peruse, who worked with Long Beach Police Department until he retired. And now he is a private, I don't think he cares, private investigator for the Riverside County District Attorney's Office.
Okay.
He's actually a little different now. He's a supervisor and he reports to homicide scenes with the DA as kind of a, consultant supervisor.
Okay, I got you.
And he was telling me about one that was pretty interesting and about, it was a vehicular homicide.
A recent scene.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So what started this conversation is a year ago, he tells me about a cold case of a female sex worker in Riverside. And he thought he had some good leads with truck drivers. And it's an older one. It's like 29 years old or more.
Okay.
And he was telling me about it. And I just filed it away because I didn't know anything.
Right.
And then I see William Suff pop up and I'm like, strangled sex workers in Riverside County. Huh.
Oh.
So I texted him.
Right.
And said, hey, Joe, have you ever thought about William Suff for your girl?
That case.
Yeah. Because he will never admit to more. You have to show up with the goods and shove it in his face.
Right.
And then he might admit it. And he called me back right away and said, I think there might be a job for you.
Nice.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a private investigator. He goes, I can sponsor you and set you up. And I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, you can, but you can't.
Right.
And he goes, you're going to get your certificate soon. You're going to be, and I'm like, no. But we had a lovely conversation and he said, I've never heard of William Suff. And I said, me either. So I'm hoping he's going to be looking at his cold case, but was telling me about, the things that go on and how what he does for the district attorney's office is invaluable. A young man was in a car accident with his girlfriend and she died and he didn't. And he needed to be, Mirandized.
At the scene of the accident. Okay.
In the hospital later.
Okay.
And he wasn't.
Oh.
And the DA said, Joe, what do we do here? And he goes, you tell that kid to stop talking right now.
Tell him to stop talking and Miranda is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I will be honest with you, it was the CHP. And they were like, oh no, we usually don't do that. And he goes, well, you do now.
Well, you should.
Right.
You're right.
That he was calling it like, Cop 101.
Okay.
And I said, anything he said before he was Mirandized, any fucking defense attorney worth his salt's going to get that tossed.
Right. For sure.
And he said, yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wish him luck on that.
Wow.
But I'm really going to hope that maybe, some unsolved homicides can get shaken out of the trees because William Suff is a piece of shit. And we need, I'm not saying it's on a huge time constraint, but he's 74, Right. And he was in San Quentin, which is, not the best of conditions.
No.
And he's like, he doesn't look like a real happy dude.
No, I know that guy.
You do not. You know what he looks like? He looks like John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, he kind of does.
Like doughy white guy.
Yeah.
Just doughy white man, miserable looking, pudgy, doughy white man.
He kind of looks like every father at school pickup too. That's why
I've seen some cute dads. I don't think so.
Okay. Every third father.
You don't look like that. Right. You don't look like that. And you pick up your kids. So he's maybe every third grandfather.
Fair. All right.
Yeah, he's a mess. So I am hoping that, I know how amazing the Tip-Sters are. And I'm hoping someone will look into him because he is a fascinating, creepy, horrible creature. So I'm really hoping that somebody out there, even if they have a cold case in their mind that they don't know how it could be related, I am convinced that sometimes, as hard as I know a lot of people in law enforcement work, especially those who do cold cases, sometimes you need to be tapped on the shoulder and reminded of something.
Sure.
Like, Joe, me saying, hey, what about William Lester Suff? And he's like, I'll look into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's, sometimes you need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we're here for. I mean, the people in this podcast have come through time and time again. Not every piece of information bears out to be something that, will solve a case. But I am reminded, by Detective Coy Cox from the Boone County Sheriff's Office, who says, your podcast has generated what he calls viable tips.
Sure.
So I am grateful for that. And even if it's not something that pans out as a viable tip, you are reminding law enforcement that people care.
Absolutely.
That these cases, the energy, mean something. Yep.
The energy.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I believe it. I totally believe that too. So I am hoping that any of our listeners who might, have been in the Riverside, County area, Lake Elsinore in the 80s and 90s, even if you know of a case that, somehow it has not been solved and you think maybe it's related, because we know William Lester Suff isn't going to help anyone. He's not going to give anybody any help or direction or guidance. Yeah, I'm related to that one. Yeah, I'm related to that one. So we know he's got at least 20 and probably more, and only convicted of 12. So I feel like there's more than one person that knows something. Yeah. Even if you think it's not related to him, if you think there's a small sliver of a chance, let someone know. Right. And the people we want you to let know are the LA County Sheriff, which I believe he thinks that there are more victims even in LA County, because Kathy Small was found in Pasadena. Granted, he drove her from Riverside County to, Pasadena and kicked her out or threw her out. But please consider calling the LA County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau at 323-890-5500. And we will put these numbers as well as the information for Magic Mind in the show notes. And if you have any information of any unsolved cases in Riverside County or Lake Elsinore that you think might be connected to William Lester Suff, please consider calling the Riverside County Sheriff's Homicide Bureau. They call it actually Major Crimes, the Major Crimes Bureau, at 951-955-2400. And, I don't want you to be afraid to do this, because I want you to remember that something small or that you think is small and maybe not be related could really be helpful. And I know detectives are grateful for any kind of help that they get from the public, from, listeners to a podcast, from journalists. I know they are.
For sure.
They've told me more times than I can remember. So if you have a tip on a missing person or unsolved homicide, or you just want to suggest a case for us to cover, please give us a call at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. You can email us at jttipsters@gmail.com. You can find us on any of the social media platforms, just the Tip-Sters Facebook page, at JT Tipsters on Instagram, at JT Tipsters Pod on Twitter, and more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.